Well, hello everyone and welcome back to Season 2, Episode 15. I think it was called Afar, of Mushoku Tensei. I am a light novel reader, a web novel reader, a video essay maker, an expert of Mushoku Tensei, you could say. And I am joined by someone who used to be an anime only. And when I say anime only, I mean that he knew no spoilers about Mushoku Tensei, except for, I'm sure he had some very few minor details, but the person I am with right now has been massively spoiled on something major.
Oh my god, EliteAri, just get to the goddamn point.
Okay, right, wait, okay.
Chat, this is where... Oh, shut up, EliteAri. EliteAri is so paranoid, you never know... You've never seen somebody so paranoid that me, armed with my new information, am now going to spoil you, the YouTube audience. Now, all of our commenters, EliteAri, I'm pretty sure they're always explaining magic systems or some shit, so they've already read these books, so I think I should just be able to say whatever I want to say, no timestamps, etc.
Yeah, but then there's people like Bacon, you know, who are like, I just want to look at these two interesting people talk about Mushoku Tensei. I've been watching this series the whole time, and I want to see what they want to talk about, and then they get spoiled. So anyway, what I'm basically saying here at the beginning is, if you're an anime only, absolutely go look at the description right now, look at the timestamps, and skip the section that says like massive spoilers or whatever, because these are light novel spoilers that spoil a significant thing. I don't know how much detail we'll go into, if Kyle even figured anything out.
A monumental thing.
Potentially monumental, potentially not. But it is a big thing, so skip it. Skip this section. This is like your last warning. So now, from now on until that section is done, we're going to be talking about spoilers. So anyway, go ahead, Kyle. So what has happened, Kyle?
Rudius dies? No, that's not
the spoiler. Okay.
Remember when I got a different spoiler that I forgot, EliteAri? Or we can just speculate about this right now. Remember I saw a YouTube video thumbnail or something, and Norn was in it, and it was like something relating to something, like a family tree or something, that let me get spoiled on something, but I forgot that something.
I do remember that, yes.
No, so I'm not making this up. That's
No, it did happen. It was a family tree in a thumbnail you saw, and I think you interpreted it incorrectly, is what I remember. So
no, that's not EliteAri's misremembering now.
Anyway, yes.
Okay, chat. I don't even remember the context. Oh, I remember the context for this. It was Miller the Killer, our resident Discord friend, our resident loser. We hate him. He accidentally spoiled something. How did this come up, EliteAri? What were you talking about? He was saying Mushoku Tensei idiots are crazy.
Yeah, it was like Twitter discourse.
He was arguing with them on Twitter or something.
Yeah.
And he was like, look at this funny thingy. Mushoku Tensei fans sure are crazy. And then it let slip somewhere in there that at the end of the show, Rudy has 3 wives and he has a harem. And I was like, oh! And I got, and my life left, and my soul left my body, and I left, but EliteAri dragged me back. I quit the show. I said, this is nonsense. And Miller the Killer thought this is very funny now. You know, there's some added funniness here. Miller the Killer, biggest pussy in the world when it comes to spoilers, literally. He blocks everything on his internet browser that has to do with One Piece because he's an incompetent One Piece fan and he's not caught up. He's not going to hear any of this, EliteAri. We could shit talk him all day.
True. But we love Miller the Killer.
Well, anyway.
Okay, it was an accident. I'm sure he didn't mean to do it, all right? But yeah, we hate Miller
He didn't seem very sorry afterwards. EliteAri was freaking out.
He didn't.
Yeah. No, EliteAri didn't even freak out that much. I was freaking out, though. So, EliteAri, obviously, Kyle Entertainment over here, he's a genius. He's just been looking at Mushoku Tensei like it's also genius. He's never complained about the show. He's always had a positive outlook. He's always been optimistic, you know, cheerful for the future or something. But now, it's gone, EliteAri. Mushoku Tensei sucks. Well, hold on. Let's back up from the jokes a little bit, EliteAri. This is serious. So, we've got, he's going to end up with 3 wives or something, or a harem. I can't remember the specifics to it. That's good, EliteAri. Maybe I'll forget. Maybe I'll misremember. Maybe I'll misinterpret. Maybe I'll look ahead to the future and not be so spoiled. But obviously, in EliteAri, in this piece of shit show, there's 3 main bitches. They've got different colored hair. One of them changed their hair color. That one he's married to now. Then we've got Eris. She's from the back in the day. And we thought, and I always speculate when Eris is going to come back, is this going to be a great thing? Can't wait for Rudy to cheat. That's going to be fun. Oh, I did get spoiled. I think that Rudy cheats too, EliteAri, because I read a Crunchyroll comment that had a spoiler tag, but I always just click them because I just assume that it has a spoiler just for the episode. So I always do it. And I think for this one, because it was like in the quote in this episode where Rudy's like, I would never do a concubine sex. I just love you. And then somebody said like, well, that was a fucking lie. So that's great. That's awesome. It's kind of tied into the other spoiler I knew, so it's not that big of a deal. I would have just thought it was funny, regardless. Anyway, I predicted that. I'm a genius. Just like I predicted Nanahoshi, I'm a genius. I'm a genius. Anyway, So I was always speculating what's going to happen when Eris comes back. Is she just going to love him platonically? I've talked about that before. What's going to happen? Is Rudy going to have a choice after he cheats? What's Sylphie going to do, etc., etc.? Turns out Mushoku Tensei is lame and is not interested in these interesting questions at all, and he's just going to get all the bitches. Now, also, obviously, the third one is the blue-haired bitch, EliteAri. Oh my god, moving on. Roxy. God, I'm
interesting.
proud of me, EliteAri. Oh my god, EliteAri just said interesting to try and throw me off the trail, but obviously it's her. We got 3 main girls. Who could the third one be if not? Now I'm doubting myself. Now that Sarah bitch ain't coming back.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, and now he's laughing at that. So she is coming back. God, I can just read into everything he's saying. No, she's probably dead somewhere.
Okay.
Soldad isn't even hanging out with her anymore. Anyway, that's regardless. He's 3 bitches, I remember. Maybe none of the 3 I just mentioned are it. They're all gonna die, and it's gonna be I don't know. There's not many female characters in the show, EliteAri. This show's sexist. And it has slavery in it. Might be the slave girl. Now that would be some. Maybe she's 100, EliteAri. We're just going to double down on all the pedophile meat. Anyway, another big thing I've always been speaking about, EliteAri, is Rudy going to have to go back to the real world? Is the message of the show going to be that escapism isn't going to be a good escape? You can't just live in a fantasy world, idiots. You got to make your life better in the real world. And I've always speculated about how Nanahoshi would play into this, and this is going to come up in the episode, and EliteAri is going to get mad when I spoil things later in the episode when we're talking about that, because I'm going to have an idea relating to this. But it seems like he's just going to get a happily ever after with his 3 girlfriends, and he's just going to stay in the fake world the whole time, and we'll have learnt nothing, EliteAri. God. And this also brings into question the morals and the ethics behind Mushoku Tensei. 3 bitches, he groomed them all. I guess the other one groomed him, so that's crazy. That's Roxy, EliteAri, because she was she looked after him when he was a little baby. Now, that had some ethical tie-in, I forgot. Anyway, I've been spoiled. I figured everything out.
Okay, I guess, I should interject at this point and say, this is all interesting speculation. No one, if you're in the comment, if you're listening right now, don't leave a comment confirming or denying anything Kyle is saying. Okay, I know how much you want to correct him on the, mistakes he's making. He ends
up with Eris thingy and thingy.
That's not the type of comment I'm worried about. I'm worried about people trying to defend Mushoku Tensei and you're kind of taking down of it here. You know?
Yeah.
So don't do that, all right? Kyle will experience the story and he'll be pleasantly or unpleasantly surprised by the surprises that come to him. I would just say that the way you got spoiled is through internet discourse concerning Mushoku Tensei, which is famously full of very, very poor interpretations of the story, and sometimes a lot of misinformation of people who clearly haven't read the story at all, and have certain readings of it from like wiki entries and stuff that they've seen. Think of like Miller the Killer, like kind of seeing points about Mushoku Tensei and forming an interpretation but not knowing anything about it. So I would say the things you've seen are interesting. They're certainly spoilers. However, I think you might be surprised in the way that they end up being in the story. So we'll see. But I thought I'd just.
So that reminds me of 2 points, EliteAri. One of which I've already forgotten because I thought about the other one. What was the first one? We'll never remember, EliteAri. Now, have I forgotten the second one while trying to remember the first one? Now, that would be funny. This spoiler, it just kind of changes the way I'm going to see things. Maybe for the worse. Maybe I'm always going to be looking for the characters to come back and what do I expect to happen. And him and Roxy are going to have a cute moment. I'm going to go, haha, there it is. Haha, it's coming. And I'm going to be like silly. But it just changes the tension, right? Berserk, it spoils the golden age at the beginning, but you still, the best interest is, well, how are we going to get there, EliteAri? That's crazy. So there's still intrigue. The intrigue has not been dissipated by this spoiler because I don't really know the surrounding element. Now, that was the second point, EliteAri. First point.
Something clever.
Oh, the way in which it was brought up, I think it was just somebody saying, Mushoku Tensei is pedo, it's shit, it's just typical male power fantasy, 3 bitches, 1 house, Lamau. So yeah, right. I think that was right. So that's not a very nice person, EliteAri. You disagree with them. You don't think this is just a typical power fantasy for dorks.
Yeah.
Unlike Berserk. Now that's a power fantasy.
Very true. Yeah. For all the Griffith fans out there.
No.
Anything else you want to say? Or is this it regarding spoilers? I feel like there's not too much to say.
Later,
Yep.
I did think there was more to say. There's definitely more to say about the being disappointed in him not having to make a choice. But obviously, we'll have to see how that happens.
Yep. All right.
I wonder. Hey.
Okay, go ahead.
And there was another thing. It was another ethical thing that I think there was more to talk about, that it had implications on conversations we had previously and that we could have in the future. But I do not recall such things, so we'll leave it at that for now.
All right, so I guess that's the end of the spoilers. So now we're going to talk
Rudy
about...
fucking died!
True. Okay, we're going to talk about episode 15 of Mushoku Tensei, which is called Afar. So this is... I don't know. Kai, what did you think of this episode, basically? Go ahead.
This episode was the shits, EliteAri, and I might not even be being that sarcastic.
Wait, in a good way or a bad way? That can be taken.
Bad way.
Okay.
God, this was boring. And then I don't like any of it. The Nanahoshi being, oh my God, she's just like I was back in the real world. Shut up. Oh, and him and Sylphie being in love at the beginning, disgusting. And then them trying to treat me like I'm a fucking moron, EliteAri. I've never been treated like more of a moron in my life. Who is it going to be at the end, EliteAri? Now that is a serious mystery.
Which you got spoiled in the trailer, but yeah.
Well, I didn't even remember that part, so shut up. And then Nora and Isa showed up for 1 second, and they I said Isa, EliteAri.
You did.
Smack.
That's okay.
And they argued for 3 seconds, and it was really, really cute and good. And I'm like, well, this episode might have been shit, but the rest of it will be good.
Okay, well, I guess I completely disagree with Kyle in every regard. This is obviously the best episode of this cour. It's the best, I don't know, I like the Nanahoshi stuff. It was very, very cute. I like, there's a scene with Julie I think was really good. I like the Rudius comparisons to the previous life. That's always some of my favorite stuff. I don't think it hits as hard in this, because it is like once again the perpetual issue with this anime in particular this season. You don't really get the monologues of Rudius's internal narrator, which kind of takes away a little bit of the character, I think. But it's fine. I think they did a good job. Yeah, I really like the ending as well. Particularly with them singing, not singing, but partying and stuff, and the insert song and blah blah blah. I thought it was all really good and well made, and I like this episode. So yeah.
Thank you to Crunchyroll comments for pointing out that it was a different song to the ED last time.
True, it was,
and that it was some actual Japanese song that she might have known from her real life. Now that is just so crazy.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that. Isn't that just perfect? Now, for some reason, I don't believe Crunchyroll comments though, so maybe that's not true. But okay.
It could be that little funny thing where it may be when is Mushoku Tensei supposed to be set? When did the? Well, I guess maybe she didn't sing that particular song in the light novel, so it could be different. But that Last of Us song in The Last of Us Part 2 technically came out after the apocalypse was supposed to have started in 2013. It was 2013. But then it was it was 2 months after in The Last of Us world, so the song shouldn't have been made, EliteAri. But then they had a little, Neil Druckmann interview had a little ride around or something.
Right.
That was pretty funny. But that could be a situation here, EliteAri. What if that song came out in 2023?
Yeah, I guess it could have. Or it could be just an original song for the anime. I have no idea. But
well,
regardless,
that's lame and doesn't tie into the real world at all.
Or perhaps it does. We'll never know, I guess. We will eventually, though. All right, recap. So, while coming back from the university, there's a postman, Kyle, and he finds Rudy and he gives him a letter.
He looks like the postman from the real world. It's crazy. He was an isekai.
Interesting. But yeah, he finds Rudy. He kind of knows Rudy. I guess Rudy's a pretty well-known, local resident here. It's pretty cool.
Obviously, Quagmire is world-famous, EliteAri.
That is true. He is known as Quagmire, but not as Rudius Greyrat. So the letter...
That's a Family Guy joke, remember?
Yeah, I do remember, yeah. But the letter says that it's basically from Paul, and Paul is congratulating Rudy on being accepted to the University of Magic. He says that things are going well with Zenith, and they're making progress, and they're currently in Eastport now, which I don't know if you... I'm sure you don't remember anything about the world, Kyle, but Eastport is like
Japan.
It did not look like Japan, that's true. It's at the bottom.
It did look like Japan.
No, it did. I guess, yeah, Eastport did, sure. The world didn't. But yeah, Eastport it was really cool, actually. Yeah, it was a nice, Japanese kind of architecture, massive,
I bet it's Chinese EliteAri and we're both racist right now.
I guess it could be, yeah. Yeah, maybe. To me, it looked Japanese, at least. And it was really cool. And they're heading to Bagaret, basically. This is the last port where they're going to depart to Bagaret, which they say is the second harshest terrain after the Demon Continent. And for that reason...
There's an ice dragon there. With the crystal stuff.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the opening. I was like, are you talking about the dragons we saw? There's a lot of stuff you just said with that one thing. Okay. Okay, yeah. Then basically, because they're crossing to Bagaret, he wants to leave Norn and Aisha behind because it's going to be very dangerous going forward. So he decides, okay, I don't want to send these two kids to travel on their own all the way to another continent. But luckily, this old friend of yours has come, and he's gonna help us transfer these 2 kids across. And we don't know who it is. At the end of the episode, we find out who it is. But after this, at the end of this letter, we get a few details, or very minor details, I guess. Paul says that Aisha is clever, like Rudy, and he says that Norn isn't like him or Aisha, and she doesn't like him, and she doesn't get along with Aisha very much at all. So a little bit of textual characterization of Aisha and Norn, because we obviously haven't seen these people for, I don't know, a very long time. They were much younger than they are now. So yeah.
They're going to have cute little girl fights, EliteAri, where they say, I hate you, bitch. And she's going to say, I hate you too, bitch. And then they're both going to learn to love each other and love Rudy through many adventures. Now, this is just going to be crazy.
Yep. I think it was seeing this letter and seeing actual like visualizations of Paul and everything and the party that's actually there to save Zenith. I thought it was really cool.
Spoiler.
What did I spoil?
Well, now I know that this is going to be super important, this little group here, even though it's like the same group that they had before.
No, I just mean it's cool to see them because it's been so long. Especially it was cool seeing Paul because he like seeing him, I was like, oh my god, he does look a lot like Rudy now, doesn't he? Which was, neat to see. Okay,
I don't like this Paul fella. He sucks.
I know, you have a lot of issues with Paul. I love Paul. He's obviously one of my favorite characters in Mushoku Tensei. I think I've gone enough in depth.
Is he an S tier EliteAri?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah. Like, even from just the stuff in Season 1, he's S tier. So, yeah. All right, yeah, Kyle does not approve of that, obviously. You know who else is S tier? Luke Greyrat, so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's how high the bar is, ladies and gentlemen. Did the OP happen in the episode yet, EliteAri? It was sick. You're an idiot.
I think it happens after this, yeah. Cut to the opening. Or maybe it's... No, I think Rudy goes home and Sylvie's, like, cooking dinner, and he's like, oh, Norn and Aisha are staying. I hope that's okay. And then wait a minute. Let me actually look at my recap here. He starts like talking about how, oh my god, everyone's gonna like settle down. It's a big house. It's gonna be great. Blah blah blah. And then the opening plays. So yeah, and Kyle loves that opening.
I still hate it. Last time the opening was terrible, and he's stupid.
I absolutely stand by it. It is really interesting to see comments all over social media praising the opening and saying it's really good, and oh, I love the song, it's so good, and oh my god, it's so cute, the visuals and everything. I still disagree. So yeah,
the song does some cool things. It's not like an all-time good opening or something.
Yep,
but it's pretty okay.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. Okay, well, after the opening, they Rudy and Sylvie, they have dinner and they kind of exchange some promises here. So Sylvie says that she wants to learn disturb magic from Rudy, and she says in exchange that she'll teach Rudy healing magic, which is something that Rudy has obviously not been able to do yet voicelessly. Then we actually transition. We see them having lessons here. So both of them seem to have
Hold
trouble.
on, we're skipping over all the lovey-dovey shit, aren't we?
Well, yeah. What do you want to comment on it? Go ahead.
Oh, it was the worst, EliteAri. This is why we don't let characters have girlfriends, because it would be like this, EliteAri. It was boring. It was terrible. It was a bunch of platitudes, but it was supposed to be genuine. It made my skin crawl a little bit. I did not like it at all.
All right, perfect. Well, I liked it. It was really cute. And I think Sylvie's voice actor is the best voice actor in this show. It's not even close. Which is funny because I think she's like new this season. I don't know. I imagine unless it's the same voice actor as
her?
I mean, I assume because she was like a little girl, but I guess, now that I think about it, she might not be.
Season 2 in this, no, you're concluding season 3 in this season 4 discussion and saying.
Oh, yes. I'm saying from season 1 to now, but I don't know. You know what? Either way, she's a great voice actor. The best they have. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any issues with the relationship stuff. I thought it was fine.
Oh, it was so bad, EliteAri. It was terrible.
All right. Anyway, so yeah, both of them.
I just love you so much. I love you so much too. You can do this bad thing to me. I would never do this bad thing to you. Oh my goodness gracious.
So is your issue with the authenticity that they're displaying? Is this like a Kyle moment where you don't like people being authentic, or is this more of you think the writing is like bad or something?
Well, authenticity always means that it's not authentic, EliteAri. You're forgetting that very important point. Also, no, they are saying it is authentic here. It's just not very interesting or fun to watch, or it's just
mundane.
What are we watching here? It's the most plastic character thingy I ever seen in my life.
I
know the whole point is that it's going to fall apart. Or at least initially, they're going to have some problems. But to show this is sort of the positive side of a relationship, it's just like, what is this? Nobody's ever had a relationship like this. This is terrible.
Right, except for Rudy and Sylvie. So, yeah, interesting.
Yes.
Okay, then both of them, they're going to have their lessons outside their house, and they're both struggling. And Sylphie has an interesting theory, which is that Rudy is struggling with voiceless healing magic because he can't intuit the feeling of having it used on himself. So that's kind of interesting. Now, up to this point, a detail that I'm pretty sure they've left out of the anime that was in the light novel is that, and I'm sure I've said this a million times to you, Car, throughout our discussions, but something that was really interesting in the early days of reading the light novel, Volume 1, where Rudy is learning magic for the first time, is that he's able to, you kind of understand how he does things, by relating it to his knowledge of the previous world. And the go-to example is about how when he's doing Cumulonimbus, which is like a spell that creates like a giant, like it creates a lot of rain and wind, and it's basically like a very dangerous like environmental conditions, right? When Roxy does it, she has to continuously like expend mana throughout the whole casting of the spell because she just like recites the spell and lets it do it itself. When Rudy does it, he manipulates the clouds. And I don't remember what he does, but he like moves them in a certain fashion so that they can sustain themselves. And he does it because he learned about like how the clouds worked in the previous life or whatever. And that's kind of, I think, what's being said here, which is that in situations like that, Rudy is aware of like how the magic works and what it kind of feels like to cast it. And in this situation, he doesn't quite understand what it feels like to heal someone, because that's not a thing that was understood in his previous life, like on Earth. That's what I kind of took from this, but yeah, I thought that's really interesting. So there you go. Then
I didn't think about it much at all.
Perfect. I'm glad to hear it. No complaints is what I'm hearing. So Sylphie, when she sees Rudy struggling, she admits that she's kind of glad that he's struggling because it shows that he can't just do everything. And I'm sure Bacon is cheering right now because they're like, oh my god, this is great. The protagonist is struggling, because I'm sure Bacon likes that kind of stuff. And Bacon's not here to defend himself. So yeah. Then Rudy,
that's what I like the most.
Rudy asks if she thinks Sylphie that their kids are going to be good at magic, and then Sylphie is like a little hesitant because she's part elf.
Oh my god, she blushed, and then the water fell down, and then
Indeed.
Oh my god.
And she says she's part elf, and they struggle to have kids, so she's a bit hesitant. She's like, oh, I don't know, maybe we won't have kids. I'm an elf, blah blah blah. So she suggests that Rudy can get a concubine, which is which is interesting. And then Rudy, he refuses, and he says that he loves Sylphie and not the idea of children. So, yeah.
Soy. Now, this scene would have been terrible, but I read a Crunchyroll comment that saved it. But I'm not allowed to talk about that. EliteAri said that's only for the spoiler section.
Yes.
And something. Even though I would have predicted it anyway. But it seemed slightly out of character for him to not be like, oh, I could fuck another bitch. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
I had an original thought, then I thought, oh, I won't say this other thing because it's got the spoiler in it. But then I forgot the original thought.
Nice. Well done.
Why? Why, EliteAri? Why? Hold on, I'm thinking. Give me 5 seconds.
We'll just sit right here.
Talking about Sylphie.
Yep, the pressure's on Kyle.
I don't want to... Oh, this is part of Japanese racism, EliteAri. And I mean racism against mankind. Because you see, EliteAri, horniness is bad. But it's bad in like a funny way. You understand Japan. You've seen these shonen animes.
Right.
Master Roshi gets slapped, but it's a little funny.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not even what I'm going to talk about, because Mushoku Tensei just ramps that joke up into pedophile stuff and thinks we're still going to laugh. But that's okay. That's okay. We're not talking about that right now, Leo. You just got to swallow it. Sex joke.
Yes.
Anyway, my point was not about the pedo stuff. It was,
it's more a season 1.
It's like this silly message where Rudy was cool because he was horny, just like you and just like me, EliteAri. It's like, oh my god, actually relatable. Characters are never as horny as they should be in stories. This is so interesting. Mushoku Tensei is so good and unique. This is why I like Mushoku Tensei. And then the message kind of here is like, well, if you find a good woman, you'll stop being horny. That's not really true, EliteAri. What the fuck?
Okay, you somehow read interesting lessons from this. Okay.
This is some monogamy propaganda bullshit, EliteAri.
Right. I understand. So you're saying that right now, if the story ended here, that would be the message you would take. But fortunately, the story doesn't end here. So I guess we'll reevaluate this, and who knows how many seasons. But yeah.
Monogamy is bad, EliteAri.
That is, yes, very true. We hate monogamy here. Okay. Interesting take. So then we talk about concubines, and then we cut to Nanahoshi, who's been working on her experiments for 2 years. And she talks a little bit about her findings. And the key thing she tells us, Kyle, and this is probably a detail, again, you didn't care about, but summoning larger and more complex objects needs more mana. And hence, there is a conservation of mana in this world. And she says that basically...
Now, EliteAri, I don't understand what conservation means.
Wait, we'll get there. Basically, mana explains most of the weird things about this world, and then Rudy gives an example about how, like, oh, when I'm summoning a rock in my stone cannon or whatever, oh my god, it's actually just like converting the mana into stone.
Is this the Full Metal Alchemist thing, EliteAri? Do I have to listen to this again?
I don't remember the details of Full Metal Alchemist, but it's like
Full Metal Alchemist means something's got to come from something.
Oh,
something
equivalent exchange, right?
Nothing.
No, this is not that at all. I mean, I guess it kind of is in an abstract
Isn't it?
level.
Because mana has to be there to be turned into little stones. And that's why Attack on Titan is bad, because the Titans just come out of nowhere, and that's not very scientific. I remember watching a YouTube video about that one time, and that was sick. I was like, man, that's so... Where does it come from? But then it comes from, like, paths and stuff. Spoilers, EliteAri. We can't spoil Attack on Titan either.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, I have no idea if it's... I don't remember the details of Full Metal Alchemist, but it has to do with conservation of energy, which is that a contained system, like a nice, planet here or whatever, a universe or something, has a finite amount of mana. And therefore, if you need to, like, bring something into this universe, you need to kind of convert the mana into that object, Yeah. It's like there's a finite amount of mana, and mana has to be, like, conserved, basically, with every operation that is applied to it. I think it's interesting. It's cool. Cool little bit of the magic system.
Now, EliteAri, your little explanation there reminded me of a thought I had while I was watching it. But only the vague feeling of a thought. I don't actually remember the thought. And it had something to do with that thingy you just said. You know that thingy you just said?
Yeah, with the conservation of mana, and when you're summoning something...
mana's got to come from somewhere, and then it goes into something. And then doesn't she get, like, lightheaded or something? I'm like, oh, they're going to suck the mana out of the whole world, and then they're all going to be dead or something. That was my thought or something. I can't remember.
Interesting. Okay.
I was right. EliteAri said interesting, so that means I got it right.
True. Okay. After this lesson from Nanahoshi, this very interesting lesson that I love, the magic system in Mushoku Tensei is so interesting. One of my favorite ones, especially in the light novel. But look, we're getting little details.
Wait, hold on, EliteAri. I remember a different thought I had. Magic's lame and shouldn't be in anything. And can you believe Game of Thrones ruins itself by having magic in it? And magic is so lame and just takes you out of everything. And you're just like, this is fucking stupid as fuck.
Absolutely.
But how come I don't feel that way about ninja magic and Naruto?
Because, like, you don't actually hate magic. You hate something else.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Silly magic where we're pretending it's science and stuff, that's stupid. Like this dumb university, stupid concept.
Yeah, now, Kyle's very wrong. It's that type of science and magic that is the best. So Mushoku Tensei,
but Harry Potter is the coolest thing in the world, EliteAri.
No, it's actually the lamest thing in the world, because all the fights end up being like, oh, we're going to shoot a light at you, and we're going to defend the light.
No, it's so cool. Remember when Voldemort did like a flame thing, and then Dumbledore like drowned him in the little
True,
ball?
that one time, that was really good, and then they never did it again. True.
Oh yeah, because these movies aren't about actually that'd be
you know what, Kyle? It's just like that fight with the dog. How great the magic was there, and now you're not liking it anymore because it's like too.
Oh my god! Remember the dog fight and geese?
True.
The greatest moment in Mushoku Tensei.
Remember the magic in the Orsted fight? You know, the dragon god. That was pretty sick. You know, he summoned the gate out of nowhere. And I was like, what is going on? And then he did disturb magic, and I was like, how does he connect to disturb magic? That's crazy.
No, EliteAri. That was cool when he said Paul's only supposed to have 2 kids. That's the coolest thing of all time. The rest of it is lame.
Right.
Now. Because that's like meta shit. And we like meta shit. Except I didn't like meta shit recently for something, remember? This brings me back to Isekai being stupid and ruining everything. Because we're walking on this tightrope, EliteAri. Now, I don't know anything about Isekai. This is my first one, kind of. So we're walking this tightrope. And every time we kind of reference this original world, it kind of makes me mentally devalue everything that's happening here as fake nonsense. And I was thinking about this.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Because it's not the real world, and the real world is what matters.
That's ridiculous, but yeah, okay.
Because it's a real fake world. My name's EliteAri. I don't inherently have this thing that I definitely think everybody else has.
Wait, Kyle, how do you know that this isn't... I don't want to spoil anything, I guess, but how do you know it's not just like an alien planet in like the same universe? Like, wouldn't that just be a real world in the same universe that you can like travel there? Like, what difference?
Now, that would be funny and interesting. Yeah. That would be a neat little... Oh my god, that would make so much sense, but because EliteAri said it, it can't be true.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
see, that fixes everything, EliteAri. But no, it's ruining everything. Parallel worlds don't exist with
Why not?
Silly RPG magic. That's dumb.
Why is that dumb? It's not a dumb video.
But you're derailing my point.
Because I think it's a dumb point. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, you haven't even heard the point yet. So we're walking this tightrope, right? And every time they bring up the real world, you're just like, this is just stupid RPG shit. And then I had this brilliant idea that wouldn't it be... Because Nanahoshi's the only good guy in this whole fucking thingy, EliteAri. But they ruined her this episode. We're not even up to that yet. She started crying and shit. And I was like, oh, anime crying. Ruined.
Right.
But she wants to go back to the real world, like a real girl. And I was like, what if she like has a breakdown and we have a massive perspective shift? And like the whole point of the story is that this dumb weeb loser is loving his little new life here where he's a little superhero and he's got his anime girls to talk to. But the point of the first part of the episode being so bad with Sylphie and Rudy doing these stupid platitudes was that imagine if you're in a world and you're teleported there and you're trapped, but they all speak like anime characters. And you're like, oh, they're not even real people. And this fucking autist over here, this fat loser autist is loving it because he's finally getting friends and shit with these dumb anime characters, and you're trapped in this nightmare hellscape of not being able to get to a real person, and everybody you speak to is boring because they're all one-note characters like Mushoku Tensei characters, and nobody's got any nuance or anything interesting to them. And I was like, that would be the greatest plot twist in history. They already did it with Nanahoshi, so why can't they do it again, EliteAri? Because they ruined her character. Now, that's a thought I had. Now, I don't know why I brought that up, but it had something to do with walking the tightrope, you know?
Yeah, because you don't know where the story is going, and whenever they bring up the old world, you're like, is it going to be interesting or is it going to be bad? That's what you're thinking.
Maybe. I don't know.
All right. Well, I'm glad
maybe you shouldn't have boring episodes, so I'm not thinking about all this.
You demonstrate the Nanahoshi perspective, which she talked about in your favorite episode last season, or last parkour, where she's talking about how, I can't wait to get back. This is such like a fake world, and who cares about these people, and blah blah blah. So she did actually give that monologue last season, but you're embodying.
We need to have the conflict monologue. We need them to scream at each other, and it better happen. I'm almost certain it will. I have no idea how you play that off as Rudy being. Like, they're probably going to, like, Nanahoshi is probably going to get a happy ending where she gets to go back or something. She's got to find her boyfriend or whatever, because they're in the world or somewhere. Orsted's going to show up with them, and he's going to see Rudy, and Rudy's going to have, like, a panic attack because he's a little pussy, and it's going to be great. But anyway, what was I saying, EliteAri? You got to stop me before I do the tangents.
Right.
What are you doing? Now, I was saying something. Nanahoshi is probably going to get a happy ending. But how the fuck are we going to justify and rational? This is the tightrope thing, EliteAri. How are we going to, like, agree with Rudy not going back? I guess the banking on it is that, we care about these characters and they're not little cutout archetypes. They're actually good characters, some people think, like you, EliteAri. We should stay here. It's just as real as the real world. I guess that has to be their conclusion, unless we are doing something really interesting where we're like, it is bad, but Rudy's going to stay here anyway because he's a bad person. Moral ambiguity, Lamau. I don't know.
All right. Well, I guess we'll find out eventually. So yeah, Nanahoshi, she gives Rudy the information about the experiments that she's found out, and then they run a new experiment.
I remember what makes the point good, EliteAri. Oh my god.
Okay, so, no, wait, I'm getting through this. They run the experiment, but then the magic shoots a line out, and then it burns, and the experiment fails. So go ahead, Kyle. What do you remember?
Okay. The fundamental issue with Isekai, EliteAri, is that it's stupid, and you're getting transported into another world. Why don't you just have it be a fantasy world from the beginning? Now, EliteAri, there's a genius counter example that you should be saying right now, which is that it's the coolest part of Mushoku Tensei was the first episode when Rudy's like trying to figure out the fantasy of how you would do your life differently if you're a big brain person, a little baby's body is kind of cool. But I feel like it would be cooler if you weren't a neat loser and you don't have to have sex for the first time again or some shit. But EliteAri, you let me go on a tangent.
Okay.
The tightrope walking and the fundamental thing is like there's this stupid thingy. He got isekai. That's so stupid, EliteAri. Inherently, isekai is just dumb. Why?
I think I just don't understand that point. I think that's your dumbest point you've ever made. And I think you made this in the first episode where we talked about this, like season 1.
But it's so fundamental. It ruins it.
Yeah, because Mushoku Tensei cannot exist without the isekai concept. It is intrinsic to the entire point of Mushoku Tensei.
I feel like we've gotten away from the appeal, like the good.
Yeah,
part
for now we're not done with Mushoku Tensei.
No. Forever. Yeah. We've gotten away from it. Because part of your good point is that, he's going to learn, like, thematically, he's going to learn how to be a real boy in the fake world. I don't care about that. That sucks. It's lame.
That's an interesting
story. What I cared
about
is how it was cool. Shut up, EliteAri. Now, what was cool was, like, him being a big brain boy in a little body and redoing his life. But that would be more interesting if he just stood in the real world. But I guess figuring out magic and trying to see how all the previous context he has for video games and shit.
You know what you're doing, Kyle? You're making you're making one of those what if videos where you're like, what if Rudius wasn't reincarnated? And you're like coming up with a theory of like, oh, you know, maybe the story would have been more interesting, and maybe he could like, you know, maybe he would go to university or something, you know, instead of like and relive his experiences at university on Earth, and it'd be so great. And then like I'm reacting to this on my stream, and I'm like, why is Kyle doing these what if scenarios? Because this doesn't exist. What's the point? This is such a fruitless thing to bring up.
Because the most interesting thing here, because this episode sucks, is to talk about fundamental thingies.
No, you know what you're saying, Kyle? No, what you're actually saying is, you know what? What if Mushoku Tensei wasn't Mushoku Tensei? Wouldn't that be interesting? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it might be worse, might be better. I had no idea it doesn't exist. Why are we talking about it? That's what I would say to that.
Because it's way more, because these characters are fake, EliteAri, they're not real. Talking about storytelling concepts, that's real, and that's interesting. It says something about the human experience and reflected. So Mushoku Tensei taps in, and the Isekai concept taps into that very interesting thing when you're dazing off in fucking English class, and you're like, this fucking sucks. How did I get here? What if I was a big brain boy, and I had my brain in the past? Oh, that would be interesting if I was like 4 years old. You know, you get into the end of high school year, you're like, what if I just got transported back and have to start all over again? What would I do different? And you think about these things, and there's a million possibilities. It's really fun to think about. Imagine if you made a story about that. Genius idea. Genius. But then we got this fake magic shit, and we're going into a different world, and it's a silly RPG thing, and, you know, stuff. So it's walking the tightrope, EliteAri. It's like, that's stupid. The other part's cool.
But we're done with the other part, according to you, right?
Stuff, but then you can only get the cool meta stuff if this is the way it works, EliteAri. So, you know, there's positives and negatives. And when you're having a bad episode, I want to jump off the left side. When we're having a good episode, and Paul's only supposed to have 2 kids, I want to jump on the other side. This episode wasn't that bad, I guess.
Okay, good.
Also, I feel like a lot of those talking points I've heard before, and it might be in a Tricks the Golden Witch video, EliteAri. But I feel like this is things people used to talk about, like in 2015, about when Isekai first started coming out and being like, well, this initial thing is fucking stupid. Just have it be a magical world. I feel like Gigak says that in every video, and we
know the famous genius Gigak. Yeah, true, and a bunch of video essays in 2015. I'm sure they had the best takes. Yes. So
it's just before you all got indoctrinated into thinking that this was acceptable. This isekai nonsense.
Very true. So they run their experiments. The magic circle fails, and like a line like bursts through, and it's like it catches fire.
Hold on, EliteAri. Hold on. We're not moving on yet. Yeah. I want to, without sarcasm, say that EliteAri is completely correct here, everybody. He's completely correct on the logical basis. This is all meaningless. But I feel like, well, like they're obviously both fake worlds. It shouldn't differentiate why the real fake world is more important or something. I guess thematically it does a little bit. But the whole point is that I have this hang-up of thinking that the isekai thing is stupid. I feel like this is probably more than just me. I feel like I recall other people saying this, etc. when it came out. So it's the more interesting thing is like trying to understand where these story archetypes come from. At least to me. EliteAri doesn't care at all. He hates it.
True. But I've also seen the whole story. Like, so yeah.
No, yeah, well, who cares about that? The so like, oh, doing the thing, little baby brain and big brain and baby body, EliteAri, you'll figure it out. And then this other thing about getting transported into a video game. It's like, oh, now it's not actually a video game. Not everything's sorted out online. I know, EliteAri, whatever. But yeah, it's interesting. Where do these come from? Why do these conflict in my head? There's like a cognitive dissonance. You know that word, EliteAri? That's 2 words. Something about that's going on. But EliteAri is fundamentally correct, but nobody thinks he's correct, except for people who already like the show and have already been indoctrinated by isekai anime. But it's interesting to see how you get there. Now, EliteAri is like that with a lot of things, where sort of the hang-ups that everybody has, like everybody thinks Mr. Beast sucks in his plastic shitty YouTube. But EliteAri just skips past that and enjoys it for what it is. And part of you is like, no, EliteAri, you're supposed to hate it, then grow to love it, sort of in a counter-jerk way. But EliteAri is just over there liking it. Now, obviously, this is different, because most people do just watch Mr. Beast videos and like it. But, like, on the internet, that's not okay. You know, he's the fall of YouTube. Everything that's bad with life is because of him. It's plastic. It's repetitive. It's nonsense, low effort. It's not very smart, etc., etc. Yes. Remember that video EliteAri watched and said, this is stupid. There's a fundamental thing that we all believe, and by we, I mean you, the audience, we all believe that Mr. Beast inherently sucks because he's annoying and look at this and fuck this guy. Now, EliteAri's just skipped over that step. Just like with a lot of normies, but he's made it into our space. So we got to analyze this weird little creature we got called EliteAri. And that's what we're here for today. All right, back to the episode. I won't interrupt any further.
All right, so Experiment fails. That's
Wouldn't
the
it be
gist.
funny
I've
if I
said this line
interrupted?
3 times. Okay. Anyway, now we get to the crux of the episode. Everyone who saw the thumbnail knows exactly what happens this episode. So Nanahoshi has a mental breakdown, basically. She's freaking out. She's destroying her books and research and everything, and she basically just gives up all hope. What do you think of that scene, Kyle? Did you expect that happening? Because, Rudy leaves the room, and he's like, oh, I guess she's going to take it well, and then she freaks out.
Well, yeah, as soon as he said that, you expected. This fucking episode was telegraphing every twist by doing the most generic, well, she'll be fine.
I think it is interesting that they named the episode Afar, though. Like, that doesn't hint toward anything. Like last episode, wedding reception. This time, Afar, because I would interpret it as being like
from home.
Exactly.
The kid's got to travel from afar.
Yes.
There's got to be a third tie-in here.
Probably.
I don't remember. I don't like it, EliteAri. She's making dumb anime noises, and it made me dislike Nanahoshi for a little while. Why is she overreacting? Just be solemn and cool like me.
Well, I mean, she is kind of like you. She's like, oh my god, I'm stuck in this fake world. Take me back to the real world where stakes matter and things are interesting. That's what she wants, all right?
EliteAri, why didn't I say stakes matter in the real world?
Exactly, because, yeah. So just freaking out. It was cool. The animation was cool. I liked it. No complaints on the art or animation. Well, very minor complaints on the art and animation this episode. And it's only like a few shots where I'm like, oh, the art's a bit bad. But you know what? I think it was pretty consistently good, unlike the last 2 episodes, which I thought pretty consistently bad. So there we go. What was I saying? Oh yeah, one of the commenters said that, oh my god, I completely lost my train of thought.
You were saying art and something and it was bad before or something and now it's good now and colors.
Oh yeah, true. I said I was gonna make that one. I was gonna look at the different cuts and basically get examples of like what I think is bad or not. Don't worry, I'm gonna do it, but I haven't done it yet. It's a work in progress. Anyway, back to the recap.
The episode looks exactly the same as every other Mushoku Tensei episode ever.
Very true. Except for that one esport thing that was like, whoa, this is like season 1 all over again, where we're getting like really cool like world building shots here. That was sick. And even Kyle noticed that it had different architecture there, so that was cool. Okay.
What are you talking about?
The one shot of esport where we said it was Chinese or Japanese.
Oh, I thought you said esports, and I was like,
oh no,
huh?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. It was just like that one with the skyscrapers on the top because the little Japanese building was on top.
Interesting.
God, imagine if it was an alien planet, EliteAri. It would save the whole show. That's great.
That would be interesting. Okay. So Nana, she has a sorry.
Somehow time travel is good too, but Otherworld is bad. You figure it out, EliteAri.
Anyway, so Rudy, Nanahoshi has a mental breakdown.
Wait,
and then Rudy
just talking about? There was something I wanted to say about that one. No, you were just talking about art. There's no way I had something to say about that.
Yeah, the art, and she's freaking out. She gives up hope. I don't know.
Giving up hope.
Something important, I'm sure.
Well, I give up.
All right, then Rudy, he carries her home, and he runs into Zainoba and Julie on the way. And then they're all going home. Zainoba is carrying Nanahoshi and Rudy. Right, then we have this cute scene. I thought this was like the cutest scene in the episode.
Yes, this is the best part of the episode, obviously. Yes,
okay.
I love it. He picked her up. It was a cute way. There was like an extra frame of animation that didn't need to be there or something that made it look really sick.
Yep.
I don't know.
So yeah, Rudy picks up Julie.
Like, he's gonna have little sisters soon, so he's gonna be a little big brother here.
Absolutely. He was like, I guess I liked it. Yeah, I liked the framing of it where, it's cute. It's got the cute music. Rudy is obviously very sincere and serious in this moment. And it is like thinking about, what's the future gonna be like with like, the 2 sisters that are coming, like what am I going to be like as an older person, like, and also it's just checking up on Julie, like the slave that he bought and has given away to Zainoba, and it's like, is she being fed well, is she being treated well, is she happy, etc, etc. This was probably the best scene in this episode. I thought it was really good.
EliteAri, I have something to say. Slavery is bad. That's all.
Amen to that. And that makes Rudy a bad person as well. So Rudy realizes at the end of this, like when he's carrying Julie in this scene, he realizes that although they both come from Japan, he knows very little about Nanahoshi. So that's like the one thing they have in common. Indeed, yeah. He wait, what?
Oh, I was going to contradict my earlier nonsense, leader. You remember when I was like, whenever they bring up the old world, it's bad. When they were talking about circuits and stuff, and I don't know shit about circuits, but I was like, that's fucking cool, bro. That
was cool. Oh my god, the magic circles, they're like circuits and they do functions and stuff, and oh my god, crazy.
EliteAri, isn't it crazy? Now, Destiny said this in a recent thing.
Uh-oh.
It goes into this completely off topic. Remember when I would always say, EliteAri, I don't even know how a tap works. Isn't that crazy? And
I
I don't know
guess.
how computers work, and it's the Destiny had a whole thing about this on a stupid podcast he was doing about how everything is run by magic, and that's why people believe in conspiracies now, because they don't understand anything, so they'll believe anything or whatever. But that's crazy. This little Japanese girl doesn't know how circuits work. I got no fucking idea. How's this microphone going in this thingy and connecting to something and being signal is sent to you, and there's like it goes to like a satellite or something. I don't know, and then it goes back to you, and that happens instantaneously somehow. But it's not like a wave where if you go interrupt it, like a laser, your arm gets like burnt off or something. It's fucking crazy, bro. I don't know how any of this works. How you drink water, EliteAri? I don't know what the fuck happens to that water when you drink it. It goes into your body or something and gives you piss.
It goes into your blood.
But why does it give you piss and then it gives you oxygen? Or I don't fuck. Or you breathe oxygen? There's oxygen around. I don't understand how any of this works.
Very
EliteAri.
true.
I don't even know how a car works. I'm sitting in a car right now. I can't even drive this fucking thing, let alone open this little front thing. And somehow this thing moves and shit. And there's like an engine. I don't know what an engine is. I think you like do a little spark or something, and then it like vibrates or something. But then there's electric cars, EliteAri. How the fuck does electricity work? You put it through a little current thingy, and then it goes.
I know, it's crazy.
Thing. We don't understand how nothing works, and this is why this scene was unrealistic. And Nanahoshi shouldn't know what circuits are.
Well, I mean, Nanahoshi was raised in the Japanese education system. Maybe they learn all these things there. Who knows? She's like, what is she? She's like 16 or 14 or something, right? I think she's like, how old is she? It's either 14 or 16. I don't know.
Oh my god, she's even younger. Yeah. But now she's like 30 or something because it's been so long. Also, wait, no, hold on, I have a tangent before I want to talk about Nanahoshi. Remember to come back to Nanahoshi later.
Yep.
But I think I forgot my tangent, so I think we're just going straight to Nanahoshi.
Yes.
Do you think I need like Adderall, EliteAri? Probably, huh?
I would have no idea.
It'll focus my brain, EliteAri.
Medical doctor to check out.
2 seconds.
Just go get your diagnosis.
You're a medical doctor. EliteAri got his doctorate the other day.
No, not yet.
AI research.
No, not yet. Eventually.
Yeah, he's officially Dr. DMD or whatever. EliteAri, what was I saying? Nanahoshi 16, and that had something to say. And before that, I forgot them both.
The Japanese education system, circuits, Japanese not knowing anything.
I don't know how anything works.
The magic, black box conspiracy, destiny, etc., etc. Okay.
I forgot both of my points.
Let's keep going, and you can cut me off when you remember. So, when at home, when they're at home, Sylphie discovers that, or she takes Nanahoshi to her room, and then she discovers that she had a knife on her, and then Rudy takes it away, and they're like, "Oh, well, this is pretty bad."
That's the implication.
Yeah, which is another parallel to Rudy when he almost killed himself in the episode 4 this season.
I did not think about that. That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes more sense that she would kill herself and is depressed. But then it's like the most boring, generic depression. She's got black eyes, black things on her eyes, so she looks a little ugly, and she's just something, and she's just going to stay in bed and lame.
Well, I mean, she's given up hope. She's like, God damn it, it's physically impossible for me to go back. The circuits, and I cannot do anything. She's just dealing with it, you know? She's like, I don't know. If I can't go back, what's the point? Let me just die.
Obviously, she's going to go down in the dumps, and then she's going to be brought back up.
Right. All right. Then...
Those few things I had to say were genius.
I'm sure they were. Yeah. Okay, then we have this thing that I think Kyle also hates, but we have Julie and Zainoba. They recognize that Rudy is looking pretty bad too. And I think the obvious thing here is that he can empathize with what Nanahoshi is feeling. Because, you know, his previous life, he'd like closed himself off from like, you know, from any hope or any motivation or anything. He was kind of in a depression himself. And he is kind of, he just doesn't like seeing it, you know? And he says, I have a quote here, I've lost heart and closed myself off like that too. And then he has an internal monologue and he's like, if things had been a little different, I could have ended up like that instead. So true.
Oh, I remember my question about Nanahoshi was, she got isekai'd only to like Rudy be like, she wasn't in the world the same amount of time as Rudy, right? Or she was. This was said at some point. Yep.
I don't know what to spoil. The thing I know for sure that's been said is that Nanahoshi she came during the teleportation incident. Orsted picked her up.
Okay.
Now I don't remember. I don't know what else I meant to say at this point, but yeah, that's what we know. She wasn't reincarnated. She was like teleported kind of here into this world.
That's right, because she still has got her same face and stuff. And if you go back in episode 1, you'd see her. Now that's sick, right? Now what can I extrapolate from this information? So I was thinking because I think this was all because they made the joke that she's actually 30 now.
Right.
But she's probably not, because she just came in a teleportation incident. Though she might still be 30, because it's probably been like 10 years or something. Rudy was a little boy. Nah, he's just a bit of a little boy, you know, a little bit of a big boy. How old is Rudy right now?
I think he's like, I would guess 17, but he could be younger, I guess. He's adult in that world,
like
whatever
7?
it is.
No, he was probably like 12 or some shit, and he just looked like a 7-year-old because it's anime when the teleportation and
Oh, when that happened, it was after his 10th birthday, I think, so he would have been 10, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
So she's nearly 30. I was right.
Why would she be nearly 30? Oh, because of the time that's... Okay, I understand.
Oh, yeah, you're not saying she's 17, you're saying she's 14.
So I don't know how old she is. I don't know. I guess I could Google it right now. Wait, you know what? Don't look it up, Kyle. I'll look it up. How old?
Oh, let me look it up.
No, don't you dare. Nanahoshi.
Nanahoshi resolution.
So in her world, she was 17 years old. So there we go.
Oh, I'm a fucking god, EliteAri.
All right.
Another thing I was right about in this episode.
You know. Well done. Okay.
Okay, I can't remember the other thing. What were you saying?
I was just talking about the great parallel between Nanahoshi and Rudy, and again, we get another perfect cute scene here where Rudy is kind of like, wait, we're finishing this.
Remember when they're both going pale?
Oh my god. Wait, what do you mean when they're both going pale? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
They both go pale? For a second, I was like, oh my god, all the Isekai people are going to get sick, and this is how it's going to be revealed, and Sophie's going to find out.
It's interesting. An interesting speculation.
But no, he was relating to a depression. It was lame. And then some guy in the crowd was going to go pale, and it was going to be her boyfriend the whole time. And he was just down the... Well, I guess he would probably keep his face and stuff, so she would have seen him, so that wouldn't have worked for her.
We do meet a pale character.
No, my great prediction. Sophie would have gone pale too, EliteAri, because she got isekai. Remember that from last time?
I do remember that. Yeah. God, interesting.
So cool.
Okay.
God, what a plot twist.
Okay. Yeah, have a nice compilation of your ideas. We can reference it back in 2 seasons from now. There's a cute scene, Kyle. A very cute scene that I'm sure you didn't think was cute, but I did. Okay. Rudy, he's sad. He's like, oh my god, I could have been like that too. He's all depressed. He's looking pale, blah, blah, blah. And then like Julie looks at him, like really like, she has like a concerned look on her face. And then Rudy smiles and he gets over it basically. And he's like, you know what? Look at this. Julie's here. Zainab is here. I'm happy now. I got a good life. Let's be happy. And that was great. I like that little moment where Julie is there to comfort him.
But it's a fake life.
Right, true. Julie's not real.
Julie is cute and stuff, so it's okay.
Okay, good. So then Rudy tries to talk to Nanahoshi in the room, and she's really depressed. She's just staring out the window, and it's the nice symbolic window with the circles that is very thematically relevant, but we're not going to talk about that now. She talks about how the...
Wait, I wasn't listening. What did EliteAri say?
She's staring out the window, and they're the big circle windows that Rudy stared at when he left the house for the first time, blah, blah, blah. It's a big thematic thing. He sees it at the end of season 1. It's like a whole... The circle windows, whenever you see them, they obviously mean something important. It was there at the beginning of season 2, etc., etc. Anyway, she's depressed. She's staring out the window. She's looking pale. She talks about how the magic circle she was trying to design is impossible, and she'll never go home. And she's all angry, and not angry, she's all depressed about it. Then Rudy, he's like, you know what, we're going to do something. He goes, he gets his friends, he gets Zainab, he gets Julie, he gets Cliff, he gets EliteAri, and they all work together to try and figure out Nanahoshi's magic circle problem. So initially, Cliff is struggling. He is a genius, and he's trying to figure out all of her notes and stuff, but he can't really do anything. And Zainab is like, why don't we just, like, layer the stuff? Like the doll, this crazy doll I found that does crazy things. Why don't we just, like, replicate kind of what they're doing? Like, there's some interesting research here. And then they do that, and they get together, they work as a team, and it's the classic story, Kyle, of the friends getting together to help out the one sad friend. And don't you just love that story? I thought it was really cute.
See, EliteAri, I made a vow just now to myself. I said, I'm not going to speak again until EliteAri tells me to speak. And then you just did, like, right after that. So, you know, I'm just manifesting. Wow. Yeah, it was kind of lame and stuff. They're all doing teamwork. I hate that. And it was bad. Okay,
fantastic. So they bring... oh my god, Nanahoshi to show her magic. To show the magic circles that they found, or they like basically.
Oh my god, EliteAri, her name is Nana, and that means 7, and that's why she's 7 something star or something.
Exactly, yeah, silent 7 star, Nanahoshi. True. You finally remembered the thing I told you like last season.
They kept calling her Silence in this episode too, and I definitely would have been confused if you didn't say that like 3 times last week.
Yep. I guess this is also it is monumental because she was walking through the school without, well, she wasn't walking. She was being carried through the school without her mask. And she doesn't, like, she's not really known throughout the school. She's just known as this, like, reclusive, like, person who doesn't, she's a special student. She doesn't even show up to homeroom. And she wears this mask everywhere she goes. So that was kind of interesting. Like, that's her first time really getting like the school seeing her, really. So that was somewhat interesting.
You want to know what's funny, EliteAri?
I do. Go ahead.
Is that I just thought it was because she was like really sick or something. They were all looking. I was like, oh, they've never
it's
seen
probably
her
also
before.
that. Yeah.
No, it was definitely your thing. But also, oh yeah, she is like a recluse. She just stays in her room, huh? Just like Rudy is. I guess that's like a parallel.
Yep. They bring Nanahoshi to show her the magic circles that they've been working on, and the spark comes back into her eye, Kyle. You see her eyes glow, and that was some of the best use of visual storytelling. It was not really storytelling, but it was a cool visual thing to see the little like glimmers in her eyes show back up when she pieces things together. I thought that was great. And then she realizes that, oh my god, this new approach might work out, and she gets all excited, and that was really cute animation. It's like she's like low resolution, like she's not really detailed, but she's like moving around frantically, and she looks really cute, and I thought that was great animation. She's getting all excited, and then she starts bickering with Cliff. So Cliff goes and is like, they're like basically working on the research together, and she's like, oh my god, you're actually pretty smart. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm a genius. And I'm like, you know what, this is just the cutest episode ever. My god, these characters, they're coming together. Nanahoshi and Cliff, I can't believe it. So cute. So yeah. Are you just waiting for me to tell you to speak, Kyle, now, or
No, I wasn't making a vow, I was just listening away. I'm like, oh.
Excellent.
I guess when they argued a little bit, it was okay. The rest of it was lame.
Mm-hmm. They're an interesting pairing. Like I always enjoy when you get like the two characters that haven't interacted yet, and they have this like new interaction, and it's cute, you know? So I like that. Then they test out the layered magic circles, which I think was portrayed in a really interesting way, where it's like you actually layer the papers on top of each other, and the magic like kind of spreads vertically through it. For some reason, I just didn't have any idea of what it would look like. When they said it in the novel, I was just like, okay, I guess they do magic stuff. But it looked cool in the anime.
What they should have done, EliteAri, is like in the great visual novel Del Toro Quest by Australian author Emily Rodda. Great video on that on the Kyle Entertainment YouTube channel. It's not great, EliteAri. Actually, I don't think that one's too terrible. But it's probably shit because it's from like 4 years ago. You're old, EliteAri.
Yes.
Where in the little thingy, sometimes you just do little pictures of like if there's a riddle in Del Toro Quest, it'll actually be on like a piece of paper and it's like drawn out. What they should have done in your shitty light novels is like drawn the little symbols.
Oh my god. You know what, Kyle? There might actually be an image. I just didn't see it because I listened to an audiobook.
Genius.
I don't know. Because there is, like, every now and then when an important thing happens, they do a visual, like, they do an illustration and it's, like, integrated in the book that I don't know, you know? Crazy.
That was so sick. It's like that's a little medium thing, or like a thingy in books, because Del Toro Quest would do that, and Del Toro Quest is like three of the only books I ever read, and I only read like the first one. But I read the first one time, and I was reading for like when I didn't have to. EliteAri, it was crazy. It was so good. But they would have sometimes in books they'll have like notes within the page, and it'll actually be written on a little note, and it's cool. EliteAri. You ever have that feeling?
No, because I listen to audiobooks exclusively, and they're great.
Even when he was a wee little boy, he was listening to audio.
No, I just got my parents to read me books. There was no need for me to do anything. Anyway, back to the actual content here, Kyle, that they test out their layered magic circles, and they summon a plastic water bottle. Isn't that crazy, Kyle?
That's another thing where it was kind of cool, EliteAri, you know, but that can only
what does that
cool
imply?
if it was original world, you know? And then he squeezes the little bottle, and he's like, it's not glass, because it's plastic. Oh my god.
Yeah, and they don't have plastic. That was interesting. I like that.
Why is he doing this thing like I'm supposed to get something, chat? Why is he doing
you're not.
Right
I just speak like that. Everyone... Okay, this is like the wrap-up to the episode, so Nanahoshi's happy again, and everyone celebrates by drinking and eating, and Rudy gives a nice monologue about how he... Oh, actually, this was interesting. I like this. This was something that you don't usually see in these types of get-togethers where everyone is happy. It wasn't a classic, like, oh my god, everyone's so happy here. The monologue he gives is about how usually he doesn't like this type of get-together. Like, this isn't the kind of enjoyment that Rudy... He doesn't like getting together with friends, you know, and celebrating big events like this. But he does recognize the value of, like, when like... He actually says this. He says when... Basically, he sees the value of having people around when life gets you down, which is, like, a pretty typical thing. And he says, you can't live if you don't forget everything once in a while. Which is a very interesting thing, because it is like this scene of like happiness and stuff. Yeah, it is purely escapism, like this form of being happy with friends, even if terrible things are happening. It's not going to take away the terrible thing, and you could be depressed afterwards. But Rudy's takeaway from a situation like this is that you can't live if you don't have moments like this where you just forget the bad stuff for a while. And I think it's an interesting framing to an otherwise very joyous scene. Which I guess this is also a joyous message, but yeah, it's kind of novel, I guess, to me. But you're gonna say it's generic and you don't like it. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm not EliteAri. I was gonna say it was okay, and
Okay.
it's like the thing where if you're in a group of people and they're all laughing and they're having a party and having a good time, even if you're trying to be depressed, like you're trying to be mad. You ever be in a situation where you're like 14 and you're trying to make like that attention by not being funny and stuff, but then you end up just giggling along anyway because it's impossible to resist. You're like, it's like a situation like that. And Rudy is kind of cognizant of that. And he's like, man, I don't like this, but I guess you just kind of are made to be happy in these situations. That's crazy.
Yep. And we get a really cute ending visual, which is the background image for our thing here, which is a drunk Nanahoshi, I think. And she's like singing into a spoon. And it's great. At least that's my interpretation of what's going on. So yeah.
There was another Julie drinks a bit good joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, true. She was drinking. That was funny. That is a good gag. I do enjoy that. I think this was like a detail. I'm like pretty sure this is in the light novel. I think it's like instead of drinking, which seemed to be at the school here, but it might not be. I'm not certain. I remember they like went pub to pub basically. Like they would keep going. Like they would drink and then they'd go to another place. Yeah, pub crawl basically. Yeah. But I think maybe it was only with like a smaller crew, like after the party, the main party or something. I don't know. That was really cute. But I think they did a good job.
Yeah, I like how the big demon king was just there, like to the party, but he wasn't there for the rest of the stuff. That was kind of funny.
And he was clapping really loudly. That was great. I love the sound effect.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
The EliteAri.
Get me some
Addy, bro. Get me some Addy.
Oh my god. Get a diagnosis, all right? Anyway.
No, I'll get some street drugs.
All right.
What was I gonna say, EliteAri? It was gonna be it was a
Batagati, the demon, pub crawling, the group is diminishing.
Sanaba, the daisies doing a little. Oh, you like how the Mushoku Tensei stole that bit from Vinland Saga, EliteAri?
About what? What bit?
Remember when the priest outdrinks everybody?
Oh, the bit of Julie. I think it's funnier because Julie's a little girl. That's funnier than a priest. But yeah, I can see the similarity, I guess, in the joke. All right.
Sure it's been done a million times.
Yeah, it has, but it's just the best in Mushoku Tensei because it's an anime. We love anime. Anyway, this was interesting. Beyond the actual content of this final scene, the framing of the scene is interesting in that it cuts the credits. We don't show the ending. We have a nice traditional credits as though this is the actual end of Mushoku Tensei as a whole. They have an insert song. It's all happy. There's a nice proper like thing. Yeah, this is the end of Mushoku Tensei. Isn't that crazy, Kyle? It's the first time the show's done this, I think. What do you think about that?
Is that what I was supposed to get out of this? That it was some sort of end?
Well, it is at least feels to me like an end of a particular chapter in someone's life because, yeah, like the credits roll in a very traditional like end of movie experience where you have the whole cast and crew in a nice black and white like kind of scrolling thing. You have a different song that's like not the normal song. This feels like a special ending to an episode. That's what I would say.
Now, what I was thinking is that you can't just have the ED visuals with a different song. That would be silly. So, and we don't want to animate a new thingy, so we'll just have the little credits. But EliteAri is really iterating on this, so I better put my big brain hat on and figure out what's going on here.
No,
now,
it's just my interpretation.
She's given up on the real world now, and she's embraced the negative, the terrible theme here of living in your fake world, just like Rudius, because that is what she did in the episode. They better still have that fucking argument. This better not be the right around for them not having that argument. So I need that argument. It's thematically imperative.
I guess I should also say, I guess I can say this isn't really a spoiler. This is also basically the end of volume 10. There is like another chapter, but this is the end of the 10th volume of Mushoku Tensei, basically. I think it's like the second last non-bonus chapter.
10 out of 42?
10 out of 26 plus the bonuses at the end, and I'm pretty sure they'll adapt.
I knew this bullshit was short and terrible.
It is crazy. They did rush through volume 10 pretty quickly. Yeah. Because I think last episode we were like 1/3 through. No, maybe we're like halfway through volume 10, and now we're like fully way through it pretty much. Yeah, interesting.
Except for one chapter.
True, except for one chapter.
The Eris chapter. Oh my god, I can't wait.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, cut to the credits, insert song, and then we get a post-credit scene where Rudy is heading home with a very drunk Sylphie who's like passed out, and he's like carrying her. And then he finds a Norn and an Aisha, and they're arguing, they're banging on the door, they're yelling out I guess Aisha's yelling out for the brother. They're arguing with each other, and then Ruja steps into frame and end the episode, basically. But I loved it. I mean, everyone who's listening right now, you know how much I love Norn Greyrat, right? I made a whole video on her, so I'm kind of excited to get her character. I'm sure you've seen my pre-season things, you know how much I'm excited.
We love Aisha.
Yeah, so I'm just interested. I'm interested, that's all I am. What's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen
The
with
next
Norn and
episode is
Aisha?
called Norn and Aisha.
What is? Did we actually get a? I'm sure we did. What is it called? Let's have a
I
look.
know that is the correct title. Maybe it's the other way around with
Wait,
the
is it
names.
actually? That
I'm
does
pretty
sound
sure.
familiar. Yeah, it is. Norn and Aisha. Well done, Kyle.
Oh,
Well done.
You know, just like everything in this episode, and by episode I mean our video.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a genius. I just know it all.
Yep.
I've always known it all, really.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I guess let me see if I have any notes. I think I've said everything. The round window thing, which I didn't really want to talk about. I am a genius.
That who won the debate at the beginning of the episode? One's in
True.
chat if it was me, two's in chat if it was EliteAri.
And please, no spoilers for anything in the comments. I know that you all wanna correct Kyle on his takes that you don't agree with, but please, no spoilers. Okay. I actually, you know what? I probably will delete them if they have massive spoilers. So be ready. Anyway.
Don't worry, chat. I'll read them before he deletes them.
Yeah, I haven't deleted a single comment so far. So well done, guys. You haven't done anything too bad yet. Anyway, that's it. I have actual no notes for this.
Hold on, EliteAri. I have a funny joke.
Go ahead.
So Perugius is the guy from this, right?
Perugius. No, wait. What is that? What type of question is that? Perugius is a character, but it's not a character that I would expect you to remember of all people.
Isn't that the one I always say? Or
Yeah,
no,
you,
I always
mistake
say
him. Yeah, you say yeah.
Perugius. Now, what's the name of the get ready for this, EliteAri? You don't know where I'm going.
No.
What's the name of what's the fucking idiot dudes from Star Wars?
Han Solo, Luke Skywalker,
Star Wars EliteAri, the
Obi-Wan
Emperor.
Kenobi, Palpatine, Sheev.
Here's the thing that is funny when he says his master's name. What's his master's name?
Darth Plagueis?
Okay, see, in my head, a funny thing was repeating in my head because I need Addy. Was me saying Perugius the Wise in my head in the
Okay.
voice over and over, and I was like, "That's a Mushoku Tensei guy. I wonder what the actual Star Wars guy is." There you go. Mike from Red Letter Media says that all the time when he's shitting on Star Wars and saying that it's trash, EliteAri. So that's pretty funny.
I'm just so impressed that you remembered Perugius and you remembered the vague Star Wars quote that is like a meme. So well done.
I've never seen that quote's from the prequels, right, EliteAri?
It is from episode 3.
I only know it from internet lore and memery. I love it.
All right, and with that,
so EliteAri, tomorrow you'll be heading over to a real channel to do Chainsaw Man, right?
That's very true. Well, or maybe it's the day.
Wait,
after.
no, there's no one. Yes, is it next week? Or?
No, it's this week, but I think. But it's also 2 days from now. I think, not tomorrow, unless it is tomorrow. Who knows? Anything else you want to? A Devilman video eventually on Kyle's channel, I'm sure.
I feel like 2 Mushoku. No, it was probably 2 Chainsaw Mans ago. I was like, oh my god, it'll be out in like the next 2 days, guys. Well, also Black Lagoon's coming back, EliteAri.
True. Yep. Get excited, guys.
Huh?
Yep. Go subscribe to Secondary ENT. It'll be linked in the description, unless I forget. And who knows? Maybe Bacon will be here in like 2 months or so. I think he'll probably be like 3 weeks away. I'm guessing. But he'll be back, and we'll get his thoughts on all these episodes. Hopefully, he can like binge them all. That'd be great. Yeah.
I bet Bacon would agree with everything I said.
Yeah, I'm sure. God, it's gonna be a very interesting dynamic when there's all 3 of us again. All right. See you next time.
See you next Tuesday. More like it.